welcome you to 5-Star Pittsburgh and thank you for joining us. 5-Star Pittsburgh is here to promote positive stories to connect humanity through empathy and inspiration. It is our intention to grow hope, trust, and empathy within our community. Our hosts for 5-Star Pittsburgh are Emmanuel Lebbie, Trent Bocan, and Trent Bocan as the show's contributing editor. Together, we will bring you genuinely positive stories of persons, businesses, and organizations through our online presence. We aim to use our podcasting platform to promote positivity and trust and grow empathy within our community. Today, we feature a 5-star organization helping those within our community. Our guest today is a wonderful example of those within our community who reach beyond self to assist those in need within our community through humility, generosity, stewardship, and kindness. Madison Shtur is the CEO and founder of the Free Op Community Store in Jeannette, Pennsylvania. She opened the store on December 18th, 2023, leading her small team of caring individuals, and in order to provide individuals and families access to essential basic needs, regardless of their financial position. She believes that every person is deserving of nice things to fill their homes and take care of their families. The Free Op Community Store provides clothing, home items, personal care items, toys, diapers, a Westmoreland Food Bank emergency food pantry, and much more. As a nonprofit thrift store, they provide all of these essentials on a pay-what-you-can basis to provide access to everyone.
Maddie, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story as you impact your community through the Free Op Community Store.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Happy to have you here.
So take us back to the moment you realized your community needed something like Free Op.
I think that I've been donating to organizations kind of like this for a long time because that's kind of how I got started, that I knew that I had too much stuff in my house and I needed to get rid of some things. And I hate the idea to throw things away that can be used by somebody else. So it actually started at a church kind of just right up the road, and they have a little community closet. So I started donating my things there, and I saw the need and I saw what it made me feel to donate my things, knowing that other people were going to be able to use them, and didn't put any more in the landfills.
So walk us through opening day, December 18th, 2023. What emotions were running through you? Like as you welcomed those first visitors, those first people walking through the door, what emotions did you have?
I think that just feeling like it was coming to fruition, because there were a few months before that I didn't really know what direction to go in, because it was hard to find a space to rent and hard to just get things started, especially as a very grassroots organization. So just kind of organized as best I could, made it look as nice as we could, and opened up the doors and hope for the best. And the first day was great. There was a lot of people and a lot of just curiosity around it, because I think it's a newer idea and there's not a lot out there similar to it. So people didn't really know what to expect.
Maddie, when pulling up your website, freeopcommunitystore.com, what immediately catches your attention is the page title stating, "Pay What You Can." Can you reflect for our audience how you made this possible?
Yeah, I think it's the idea that it's kind of a circular system, that you hope that items come in for free, and the things that get sent out the door, people pay whatever is reasonable for them, which is different for everyone. So people come in and they pay nothing, or they pay 50 cents, or they pay $50, and it is completely different for every family. And what's been really surprising to hear is it's different every day or by the week. So I have some regulars that come in, and there's a week that it's not feasible for them that day, but they still come in and they still need things. But then the following week, maybe they got extra work at their job. Maybe they, I don't know, found $20 on the sidewalk. So it just, to be able to provide for those changing times that is so common now, where you don't really know what tomorrow looks like for your financial abilities, to be able to provide either way. And they don't have to feel guilty either way. They can come in and access all the same things either way.
So you describe Free Up as a place where every person is deserving of nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a story that really shows why this philosophy matters to you so deeply?
I know that a lot of people that want to donate their things to places like this have nice things. Like, I have nice things in my house. A lot of people have nice things that I might just not need. And other people that don't have as much, that doesn't mean that they deserve bad stuff or dirty things or just your throwaways. Like, a lot of people just have more than they simply need, and they can pass that on. So I try to be selective here about what I put out and what we try to offer to the community. I don't want anybody to come in and feel like they're only deserving of garbage. So, because their kids don't deserve garbage, and they don't deserve garbage to wear just because they are having a hard time.
I think Tucker touched on this too, but I wanted to go back to it. The pay what you can model. Like, it's beautiful, but it's also very like vulnerable, right? So how, I guess the question is, how did you get the confidence to trust your community with that approach?
I've seen it before, that there are a few restaurants that run by that model. There's one up in New Kensington called the Need Community Cafe. And that just, you don't see it very often. But it just makes so much sense to me. It just, like, there's a lot of free community closets around that are run through churches. There's obviously a lot of thrift stores around, but even thrift stores can be inaccessible to a lot of people. They come in and say, I can't afford to shop at Goodwill. And then there's sometimes a little bit of a stigma around the free stores, that people feel like I'm not bad enough that I need to go there. I shouldn't take from somebody else. So I wanted to be in that gap of in between, where it's, like I said, it's different for everybody. If I went into a pay what you can restaurant or store, it would look different all the time. It would look different than my next door neighbor. It would look different than what my friends could pay. Like, and that's just, it gives the equity, and it gives the decision to the family what they can handle for that particular thing.
You're listening to 5 Star Pittsburgh, as we actively seek out and bring you stories of those having a positive impact within our community.
Maddie, I think you do a great job describing the purpose of Free Up here. And it's really a beautiful store, the purpose behind it. And to mention these other places like the Need Community Cafe, I did not know there was places like that. And so neat to hear that. And thank you for sharing that. It's something that I want to find more information on and look into myself. Back in February of this year, you were named the Nonprofit of the Month by Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce. What does this kind of recognition mean to Free Up in the community that your store is in?
Yeah, that was super exciting and unexpected. I didn't have to apply for anything. That was just that Free Op's name got brought up in the right meeting at the right time. And then we were nominated for Nonprofit of the Year for 2025, and through the Chamber of Commerce, same thing. And I think just knowing that people know that it exists without me even being in the room in the conversation is like so exciting, because I feel like I talk about it and think about it all the time, all day. So to know that other people are talking about it and thinking about it and recognizing the goal and what we want to do is really just, makes you feel like, okay, I'm getting somewhere.
Definitely.
Maddie, can you talk a little bit about what you've learned since starting Free Op Community Store, and maybe how has this helped you adjust the services that you guys offer here?
Yeah. I say all the time that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go. I have learned everything. Like my background is in physical therapy, not at all in social work, not in running a business. I don't know how to be a CEO. So I have just had to figure it out. There's been a lot of people from other organizations that have offered me help or have helped me. And just learning how to wear all the different hats of running something like this and all the behind the scenes stuff. It's kind of easy to see that it's a store and you put the things out and everything, but there's grants to write and there's, meetings to go to that I never thought that I would have to be a part of. But all of that has been such a learning experience, especially through the chamber. They do kind of lunch and learns and courses that you can learn marketing techniques and you can learn social media and all the things. So I try to go to as much as I can to figure out what I'm doing, but nobody ever knows what they're doing.
And it's interesting sharing that perspective of everything that goes on behind the scenes a little bit. Just as, any other businesses, you have so many things going on behind the scenes. This is obviously a little bit different with what you're doing, but you still have so many things that you're doing that people don't see.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, can you tell us more about others that are involved in Free Op and how they are helping as well?
Yeah, it's very small still. My husband is our handy dandy maintenance man. And he's involved behind the scenes as well, because he gives me the stability to be able to do this. Like, he has a great job and can kind of take care of our household to let me run off and try to do something like this. And then my mom and my mother-in-law are on my board of directors. I've had multiple fundraisers that I've had friends and family volunteer at. So that has been just knowing kind of that I have that guaranteed support from friends and family is super helpful and very, makes you not have one less thing to stress about, because I know that we'll have a good selection of people that want to be there and want to be a part of it.
So, Maddie, you went into some of those that surround you relative to Free Op Community Store. Can you talk a little bit about those who helped you start the store and help you operate it?
Yeah, there's a couple of the different organizations that I am in contact with still, that either something as simple as just giving me advice or saying, I've been in this situation also, and this is what I did, or this is what I didn't do. Or when we first got started, a lot of physical donations. So there's the Pop and Tags free store up in Tarentum, and the YWCA in Greensburg, and the Refuge Boutique, Speed Family Blessing Box. I mean, I could go on forever. That they just have similar missions and want to see us succeed, because there's not this competition of regular for-profit businesses where it's, I don't want you to take any of my customers. We see some of the same customers, and we just want the people that come in to see us, we want to see them succeed. So if I can share any wisdom, or if I can share clothes or if I can donate to your fundraiser, we all are very supportive in that way.
So, Maddie, you had mentioned when Tucker was asking you questions about the impact. You mentioned, I'm not a social worker. My background is physical therapy. I guess, that sparked my attention when you said social worker, because I'm a social worker.
Mm.
And one of the principles in social work, the first ones actually is dignity and worth of the person, right? So in the work you do, what does dignity look like? So how do you protect it, right? Because some people will come in and just how do you protect the dignity of your customers when they come in?
Yeah, that goes back definitely to what I offer, that I care that it's nice. I care that they feel dignified in coming here. I know that it can be a hard kind of pill to swallow to come to a place like this sometimes. And a lot of people will voice that to me. They say, I've never been in a place like this. I've always been doing fine. And then, I lost my job. My husband lost his job, or we had a huge vet bill. Like there's a million things that can change your scenario in an instant. So people sometimes have a hard time where they come in and they don't feel like they belong. And that's super important to me. I act the same way with everybody. I treat everybody that they are welcome here and that they can come here and not feel any type of guilt for what they can or can't pay. And that matters a lot. And that's why I don't find out if somebody is going to pay or not until they're walking out the door. So that really, your whole experience here, whether or not you're able to contribute, is going to be the same. And that's important because nobody needs to feel any kind of guilt or embarrassment for being in a place like this or for shopping secondhand, which is actually very trendy right now, which is great. And or being in a tough space. Like it can happen to anybody. And I've seen how quickly it can happen to anybody. And they deserve to be treated still with respect and with, maintain the dignity.
Maddie, Manny asked this question, similar question. I want to put a different spin on it. What started you down this path of helping others, and how did FreeUp begin?
That's a great question, and I get that question all the time. I like to be very genuine, and I'm an open book. So I have lived a privileged life. I haven't struggled a day in my life. I have a great family that has always supported me and a great husband who has a great job. And I just care. I just feel like people with privilege or people that have more than others, you just have to do something. And I've said that before, that whether it's just donating money or donating to your food bank or volunteering once a year, like something small like that, everybody has to feel that stronger, like deeper urge to do something worthwhile. And I could have just kept with the status quo. I had a full-time job. I left my security and stability to kind of take a risk on this because I feel strongly that it's important. And I feel strongly that I couldn't just do the minimum, I guess. So I've always had, I've cared more a little bit over the years about the environment and caring more that good things aren't being thrown away. And I love to organize and I like to meet people. And I just kind of figured out that this was an avenue that I could take that is something fun that I enjoy doing. And the the biggest benefit is seeing people get the things that they need, because whether or not you are in a good position or not, your kids deserve to have shoes that fit, and you deserve to have food, and all the things. you deserve all the things that everybody needs, the non-negotiables in life, whether or not you're struggling. You still deserve to have the basics.
You're here with 5 Star Pittsburgh as we aim to serve humanity by becoming stewards of positive and inspirational stories that ignite hope and empathy in people, resulting in greater community connectivity. This is Love Defined.
You mentioned people being able to give back to their community and sense of just giving back, whether it's a little bit or a lot. Can people help give back to the community through free op without necessarily donations? Are there other ways that they can help free op?
Yeah, there's donations of money and there's donations of items. So when you say donations, it's kind of twofold. Even just something as simple as telling your friends about this new place you heard of. Share it on Facebook, follow us on Facebook. Any of those things are a positive for our organization. So I know that can be a big ask to ask people to donate money. And I know that that's not feasible for everybody. And we get a ton of in-kind donations. So that's definitely an answered ask from the community for sure. Sometimes we get too much. So just helping us spread the word, because then that can reach the people that are able to do more or that want to get more involved, or that it just sparks something in another person that says, oh, that sounds great. Like, I would like to get involved in something like that. And even if it's not my organization, if it just results in more people getting involved in general, that's already a positive.
So you're listening to 5 Star Pittsburgh as we speak with Madison Shtur, who is the CEO of Free Op Community Store in Jeannette.
Maddie, for someone, this is for our listeners, say you're talking to someone who feels called to serve the community, but doesn't really know how to start. Like, what would you tell them?
It depends on what they have to offer. I think that everybody needs to do an internal check. Like, do I have time to spare? Do I have money to spare? Do I have just networking with my circle, my own personal community? It all depends on what can fit into your life. And I really think that, like, philanthropy and just generally getting involved can fit into everyone's lives. Just it's going to look different for everybody. So if you have money to spare, find an organization that is worthwhile and that you trust and help them out, because that they will never turn that down. If you have time to spare, if you're retired, or if you just want a hobby or you want something to give you something good to do to get you out the door, find an organization that you want to participate with. Find something that you enjoy. If you enjoy animals, go find an animal rescue that you can donate your time to. It doesn't have to be a negative, like, chore. It can be something exciting. It can be like something fun and make you feel good and overall help the community, which is the goal.
So, Maddie, when you have the opportunity and you've taken the opportunity to help others and touch people's lives, those of us that have had that opportunity to really help someone, and then you see that in those people that you can genuinely sense that you had a great impact. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about what emotions or how does that make you feel? Is that's kind of like your payment for making the choice to do a nonprofit? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of hugs in these walls. There's a lot of tears. I feel like people come in and just maybe it's the environment, maybe it's the overwhelm, or maybe it's the relief that they feel by finding something that is gonna just help them a little bit, even if it's a small amount, that kind of their walls come down. And I always feel like people they tell me everything, which is fine. I'm here to listen, and I'll listen to anything. But I hear their stories, and even if it doesn't come down to like them thanking this organization so much or anything like that, even just hearing their story and knowing that this is something that's going to help them, even just 1%, even just to make their day a little bit easier, or to take one worry off of their minds, is really rewarding. I feel like there's a lot of times that I've reflected on it and I can come up with a couple different scenarios where there's a lot of gratitude. And I think that I have to be reminded sometimes it's hard to take gratitude sometimes, because you're just in the grind and you're in the middle of it all day, every day. So to kind of step back for a second and be like, whoa, like I actually did XYZ, or this person actually really benefited in this way, is a good reminder.
So to expand on that, can you talk about two things? Your best day when you've gone home and you said that was wonderful, and talk about the best day without saying the person's name, of a person that you can identify without their name and say, this is what they were going through and this is how we helped them.
Oh, that's so hard. I would say that some of the most touching families or stories, I guess, would be, I see a lot of single moms. And like now that I'm pregnant and I am aware of what it takes to raise a baby, or to know how much stuff you need, and babies grow so fast, and it all happens so fast. So I see a lot of single parents. I see a lot of grandparents that just got custody of grandkids, or nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So that kind of just really touches my heart, because I find myself in the same situation now, having a family. So that's a big one. And then in Jeannette, I don't know how long ago that was. There was a house fire, and it was a family of 7, 2 adults and 5 kids. And only the mom and 2 of the kids made it out of the fire. And literally just the most devastating thing you can think of. So just the whole community of Jeannette, not just myself or any of the other organizations in Jeannette, but all of the individuals and all of the families and all of the organizations and all of the restaurants, and everybody were completely dedicated to helping this mom, and helping just, there's nothing you can do in that situation, but helping her feel not alone, and that she had her community around her. So I was able to obviously get some items for the family that they needed, but it wasn't even, there was already so much out there that just the moment that it happened, everybody was like, what can I do? Yeah. So I feel like I've seen a couple of different house fires, or people get their things stolen, or they get locked out of their house. There's just so many different scenarios of why people find themselves here.
So let's talk about self-care, because I know work like this can be emotionally taxing, mentally draining. And what keeps you going? What do you do to make sure you're refreshed for each and every interaction that you have?
Oh, that's a great question. And again, like I said, I like to be very genuine and I'm an open book, and it is so hard. And I mean, I really struggle with it. And I know that my struggles are real and valid, but I kind of can compare it to some of the other stories that I see. And I try to remind myself that I'm in such a privileged position to be able to do this. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this, but it is really hard just to hear the negativity that's out there, and to know that how hard it is for some people, like that just pulls at your heartstrings. And it's hard to close the door and lock up at the end of the day and know that I'm leaving it here and going back to my own life. And it's hard to separate it, for sure.
So you're about ready to have your own child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you have some stories that you can share with your own child.
Yes.
And have you thought about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, my family was wonderful. Like, I had a great childhood and very generous in their own ways and everything, but we weren't a huge like volunteering family. I don't feel like I remember that many times of really getting out there and getting involved. Maybe my parents were kind of behind the scenes and we just didn't really know it. But I hope that my daughter like grows up with more of a knowledge of this kind of life. I think that even before I started this organization, I had no idea what I was walking into. And I really didn't know what these people go through and what it really looks like to live struggling every day. So I want my kids to be well aware of that and know that they can do something, know that they can get involved. They don't have to just kind of stand by and see it, but they can be very, very aware of what's going on.
If you could put a number to it, approximately, how many people do you aim to help, and or are you able to help monthly? Kind of go back to where you started out and where Free Op is now, you know, how far you've come, and do you have goals to go further with this? Are you kind of where you want to be with things? If you can expand upon that a little bit. So
in 2024, I think that we added up at the end of the year that we had like 3,000, and I call them individual shopping experiences. So if it might be repeat customers, but if they come back 2 weeks later, that's a new shopping experience because they had new needs and they came and got new items. So I think that this year so far, doing some counting, I think that we're about on track for the same thing. I would love, I mean, I have the capacity to have more. We have the items here. Like I have, like I said, so many in-kind donations. Sometimes I have way too much that I could increase that. But with that is just more people knowing that it exists. And so a lot of people still come in and they say, I never knew that this place was here. So I think that if that was just more of a generally known thing, that places, not even this place specifically, but places like this are out there, it could reach so many more people. I would love to have more people in the door. I can't necessarily increase my time. Like I make my calendar and kind of is what it is. But for the hours that we are open, we could have lots more people. I have lots of stuff and I would love to get it into their homes. It's just here right now. And I'm thinking about how you were saying that, you know, you just kind of would need to be out there a little more. That's kind of what started us on this path of this podcast. Is there's a lot of negativity, like right in your face on the news, if you're watching the news. We want to promote positive stories like this. So we're all about trying to help get the audience to you and other places that are bringing positivity to the community.
Yeah, because I mean, you're doing amazing things. You know, when people talk about Jeannette most of the time, there's not a lot of positivity that most people talk about.
Yep.
But right here in the middle, downtown Jeannette, is a store that's actually serving the community, right?
Yep.
Meeting people's needs where they are. And I think that's very admirable when people need to know that. So
It's a special thing. It really is.
very, very. So I'm really happy we're here.
So you're listening to 5 Star Pittsburgh, and 5 Star Pittsburgh seeks to empathize, to bring others to empathy, to spread empathy greatly, and grow love and understanding through positive examples.
So, Maddie, I guess I'm going to direct this question back to you. Not as the founder of Free Hop, but as Maddie. Like, how has this journey changed you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess if I look back on it a few years ago, before when this was just an idea, probably just like everybody else, I really mostly just thought about myself and thought about my job and thought about my house and what am I doing this weekend? And so caught up in just the day-to-day of regular life. So I think that I now have something so much bigger to think about. And just if I'm thinking about how I can improve or thinking about all of the different things that I need to do, I try to always come back to reminding myself of what the families go through for the people that we serve, and try to, when I'm complaining about my own life, maybe I try to look at it with another light, that there's bigger things out there. There's more out there to worry about than the little things that don't matter.
Let's talk some more about how your store is an outlet for people who can give back to their community to help families in need. Your website mentions that donations can be tax deductible. Can you expand upon that a little bit? I don't know if that would help encourage people to donate, knowing that it can be tax deductible, but just to find a little more information on that.
Yeah. It's a 501c3. So that's through the IRS. It's fully tax deductible organization. So what that means for an individual, if they donate money, I will write you an acknowledgement letter that says, this is the amount that you donated. Thank you very much. A lot of organizations or corporations or people's workplaces, a lot of them already have programs in place for philanthropy, and they have X amount of dollars every year that they give to nonprofits all over, like globally. So we are, like, even though we're small, we are the same as every other nonprofit out there, the same like credentials. So it gives a layer of trust and legitimacy to the nonprofit. Of course, you can donate to an organization that doesn't have that dedication of the 501c3, but it's a benefit for you that it's tax deductible, and that's how we get a lot of our funding is just through individuals and through corporations, that they can use it for their own benefit too, which is great.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, how has Jeannette surprised you?
Oh gosh, how has Jeannette surprised me? I don't know. I didn't grow up in Jeannette. I grew up in the town kind of next door, and then now I live a couple towns over. So I've always been in Westmoreland County, and honestly, I didn't want to be in Westmoreland County. Whenever I first got started, I felt like I had to be in Allegheny. I felt like that was my only option, and I was trying really hard to find a rental location in Monroeville, but it was turning out to be too expensive and just too much. So I expanded to Westmoreland County, and Jeannette just kind of fell into my lap. And it has worked perfectly. Everybody that comes in here, they're like, if they say that this is a great like resource out there for the community, everybody says specifically for a place like this that Jeannette's struggling, and the people, the families here are struggling, and the school struggles. And I'm really grateful for maybe it was fate that I landed a rental here, and it has been like just the perfect location. I feel like I get a good mix of people that are here for help and that are here to help. And that really is what keeps it going. That's needed. I need the people that want to help, and I need the people that need the help.
You talk about looking in Allegheny County when you were looking to start things up. Does it mean even more to you now that you're doing this in a community that you grew up in, you're so close to when you were growing up?
Yeah, I'm happy to be in Westmoreland. I was born and raised here, and we plan to raise our family here. So I know that Allegheny County has the struggle for sure. And it has a huge population, but it also has so many more resources, and so much more funding. So I think I just, obviously not knowing what I was doing in the beginning and figuring it out as I go, I just felt like I was supposed to be in Allegheny, but being in Westmoreland it's more like home. And I feel a little bit more connected to the people that come in and the families that we're able to help, because it feels more hometown and feels more direct.
Okay. So would you say this has turned into a kind of purpose? And twofold, how does faith lead you forward? Like what do you see? What's the path forward? How do you see Free Up growing and becoming the beacon of light that you envisioned when you brought it into reality?
Yeah, I think that I always had maybe a goal down the road to have another location that it could be spread wider. But even more vague than that, I think just if it became a little bit more of the norm, that when people think to themselves, my kid is growing out of all their clothes, they might go to a thrift store before they think of, let's go to the mall. They might think that there's other options out there. And like I said, that thrifting is kind of trendy right now, which is great. And I think that that's just so exciting that young people are getting into it. And there's just kind of more of a movement of secondhand. I don't know the statistics on it, but the impact on the environment to make like one new shirt is insane. And there's no reason to, because if we look around us, there's so much out there already. The product and the amount of product needed for our communities is out there already. You just have to be willing to work a little bit harder to find it. You might not find exactly what you're looking for if you don't go to the mall, but if that is just generally more mainstream, I think that that's a big impact that I want to have. So whether or not it's directly Free Op related, and whether or not people come into the door here, or they go into another free community closet, or they go into another thrift store, that's all like a step in the right direction.
Yeah. As people evolve, we constantly learn about how we can do certain things better. Kind of like you had shared, you when you were talking about Allegheny and Westmoreland, you just maybe didn't know, what you were doing at that time. If you could share with somebody that is now in that position where you were starting out, what would you say to help them?
I mean, when I first started, you always hear that when people want to start a nonprofit, you always hear get involved with another one that already exists. That you resonate with their mission. Just try to get going with that instead of starting your own. That's always like a common piece of advice when people are thinking about it. So not to take it that far to like squash their dreams and say don't do it yourself, but just be more involved in general before you get started. I think that I went to a couple of the different community closets around and I was like, I can do this. And I just kind of jumped right in. I do wish that I had talked to more people, gone to more meetings, introduced myself more, just get out there more and talk about what you want to do. And you can find out where it's already happening and get involved that way. And then if there is still a need, then go forward with it. But at least you go into it with a better general knowledge about what you want to do and the impact that you want to make. Because it's been a huge learning curve for sure.
Maddie, as we bring our questions to a close, I'd like to hear a little bit about those individuals that, like your husband, I think you said your mother.
Yeah, my mom and my mother-in-law.
Can you name those people and just kind of talk about, just give them a little bit of a shout out to say thank you for being a part of this community store.
For sure. My husband, his name's Chris, and there he is. Like I said, he really holds the fort down at home for sure. We have 2 dogs and he works from home. So I'm gone all day and he really just keeps everything running so that I can focus on this. And like I said earlier, that doing something like this, it's on your mind all the time, and running your own business, it's on your mind all the time. So when I'm on my laptop at night, instead of paying attention to the show we're watching, and he tolerates that and understands that, that's a huge help. And then he helps me at the store. He's our maintenance man. Was currently painting a shelf and helps me, carry stuff and all the things that I just need an extra set of hands. He's my go-to. My mom, Jill, she owns Pen Pals Child Care Center in PT. So she has been a businesswoman probably all her life. She runs it like she started it herself about 35 years ago.
I'm sorry to interject. Pen Pals, you said Child Care Center. Is that right by the gas station almost? Or
it's by Shram's on Blank Road.
Okay. I'm in Harrison City.
Yeah.
That's where I reside.
Yeah, she has 2 locations. One's in Paintertown and the other one's by Shram's on Blank Road. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. But she's a great example of women doing what women can do. My parents got divorced when I was little, and my mom had this vision that she wanted to do this. And it's been almost 35 years now. She has 2 centers. I think she has like 60 employees or something. And she's like the main best daycare in PT. So she's super proud of that. And I'm really proud of that is even associated with my family. Yeah. So she's always been a businesswoman. She has a degree in finance. So she's on my board and she's able to understand some of that stuff that is over my head.
That's awesome.
And then my mother-in-law worked for Blackburn Center as a counselor for 25 years? Something like that.
Wow.
So she was involved with nonprofits and with just the general sense of helping others for all of her adult life. And she got involved right away. It was like kind of a no-brainer whenever I first started thinking about this. And I said, I need some board members. And it was obvious that Laura would be a part of that because she just has the mind and the heart for it to be involved in organizations like this.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Maddie, for being with us to share your story and to also tell us a lot about the Free Up Community Store in Jeannette. And want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you needed to share or that you'd like to share beyond the many questions that we had for you?
I think that you guys covered it pretty well. I would just say that to guide people to our Facebook page and our website, I try to put out as much information on there as I can so that people can, anytime they have a question, they can go and find what they're looking for as far as donations and as far as our hours and our calendar and events and all the things. I try to keep it, like I said, I'm very organized. I try to keep it very updated on our Facebook and our website.
Very good. Thank you very much. And this brings us to our guided reflection portion of our podcast. And again, we thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Maddie.
So let's talk a little bit about our reflections that we have as our hosts. And one of the things that I would like to start with is, I'd say one of the things that struck me was the power and the significance of being in the center of the community. I think that when I have a degree in psychology and actually my bachelor's is in psychology, but I had a master's in psych also. One of the things that I did as in my bachelor's program was developed a community program. And the essence of, and I guess the importance of that community program was the fact that it was right in the heart of the community. And I think that if you're going to have a choice to be right in the heart of the community, you couldn't do it any better. And so the roundabout way that it came, that you landed right here in the center of this community where absolutely we have a lot of needs. That's striking and that's very rewarding. And I think that's very significant. I think it has to be that way for somebody to be able to quickly get here, to possibly walk here is very important.
Something I took away from Maddie's most recent answer, it just, Free Op and the people behind Free Op show you how much a mentally powerful and kind group of people can pull together to make a difference for their community. And I mean, the backgrounds of all the individuals involved in this store here were incredible. So it's very neat story and so cool to learn about it.
Man, so I think Maddie touched on so much, and as a social worker, the way my mind works is we believe that a lot of struggles are systemic, the system, right? So someone is not just poor, they just lost their job because it's a one-parent household. Dad is in jail. Mommy's on, so there's all these spider webs that connect what makes someone's situation unique. And I think what Maddie was saying and how she treated everyone the same, it reflects, I think, what we need in our world the most. Yep. Because a lot of people, if you have a lot of money, people treat you differently than someone that's poor or broke. And, you even look at you even look at the political climate, right? You have Democrats, Republican, people are so divided based on what their political views are, and not in the shared humanity, right? Just seeing someone in need and saying, hey, like, how can I help you? Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter like where you come from. How can we help you? And I think for me, that's kind of what I got from like all this. If you're going to change a system, you have to, like you were saying, you have to be where it's happening. Mm-hmm. And you have to do it one person at a time. Because if you can only change a community when you change individuals, right? if the individuals are not changed and if they're not having that heart-to-heart connection with the people, the agents of change, the people that actually want to do the change, then nothing's going to happen. So I just think this is so good.
In, situations that Maddie has to be in, it just gives you so volunteering anywhere, doing anything, giving back to your communities.
Yeah.
It opens your eyes. It gives you new perspectives. And,
it does.
And you meet people, you have different conversations rather than conversations where you can just have disagreements about certain items like you're talking about, even politically. I mean, people can have one sentence said to each other and they're divided on something, but you just help somebody out and it opens your eyes to they are, different than just their political.
Exactly. And I think I like what she said too. She said, before I started doing this, I was just like everybody else. I was just thinking about myself. Right. And so it begs me that's why I asked the question about purpose and faith. Right. It begs me to so when we talk about purpose, right, a vacuum cleaner has a purpose, right? It's to clean. And so as human beings, there's a reason why we're here. And just what she was saying makes me realize, right? She stopped thinking about herself so much and started thinking about other people. And then she found something bigger than herself. Maybe that's what a purpose, that's what our purpose as human beings are, right? It should include what our values are, the empathy, that shared compassion for our fellow man. And I think that's what I'm getting. That's what I got for most of our conversations with Maddie, and just how everything came together to where she didn't have to go to a whole different state to find people to support her vision, right? Her mother-in-law, her mom, her husband, right? So sometimes for us to live our purpose, the people that are around us are actually there to help us if we would employ their help. But one thing I see that is very disheartening, I feel like a lot of us want to say we did it on our own instead of, saying we got here with the help of other people. And so that's what I got from my story as reflecting on everything we've done.
So one of my favorite sayings is the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. And I really love when I find people that get it.
Yeah.
And Maddie got it a long time ago, and she tries to bring that to people on a daily basis, or the days that her store is open.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would add is, Manny, you talked about systemic and the system and how it impacts everything, touches everything else. When people get into a hard scenario, a difficult scenario, it's often, I always see it as a cycle. Something has gotten them to enter a cycle, and that can be a positive cycle, that can be a negative cycle. But things can befall people and take them into a negative cycle. Right as Maddie was talking about the people that come into the store, and she used the word relief, I was saying relief in my head exactly at the time that she said relief, because the pressure cooker that people that have entered a negative cycle, it's unbearable at times. Yeah. And people will come in, and I can just feel it and see it from what she was saying, but people enter a place that can give them help.
It's like cold water in the middle of a desert,
And it creates relief. Yeah. And there's nothing more powerful than relief. Everything comes off your shoulders. That pressure can just emanate from your body. Wow. So I really like that. The other thing I would add is I really love the language that everyone deserves the best and nice things. And I think that goes back to the dignity that you had talked about, Manny, is that when you're talking about why not the people that are in the toughest cycles deserving the best? Why should they not have the nicest things? And that's a great way to look at it. It's really that knight in shining armor going on a white horse to say, everybody deserves that. And that's a stance to take to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything. It's great.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that stuck out to me that I feel is very important to mention is Maddie's state of mind when it comes to gratitude.
Yeah.
Right? A couple weeks ago at my church, we had this whole sermon. It's a 2 or 3 weeks like on gratitude, on just what happens when you are thankful for what you have, more than complaining about what you don't have. And I think Maddie said, a lot of times, I'm stressing about my life and this and this and this and that. But then I sat back and I have a wonderful husband that has a great job. I have, a mom that has her own business. I have a mother-in-law. Like, I have so much more. I have nice things at my house. And I think the greatest thing about being a good human being or decent human being is wanting the same good for others as you do for yourself. And that's what I heard. But that starts with gratitude. First, you have to know what you have. If you don't know what you have, or you're not aware of the good that's around you, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to be complaining about everything else and not really, just being like just thankful for what you have, so your eyes can be open on how you can help other people achieve their greatest self. So that's really stood out to me. Even when I asked her about how do you keep going, and it was gratitude, right? It was just the sheer fact that she is aware that she has a blessed life, that not everyone has a husband that works from home, that takes care of the dogs and makes sure the building where she's operating out of is maintained, and painting shelves, and mother-in-laws and mom that take time out of their own business just to support her business. I think it really is something to take a note of for the listeners out there, and even for us to just be thankful.
So the last thing I would add is, there are so many sayings out there to try and do small things with great love. When you look at 3,000 shopping experiences per year, that's trying to do small things with great love, but it's also doing and touching a great amount in the community. So I'd like to close our program today. And as we close our program, we want to remind our audience that we can only truly find ourselves when we make a gift of ourselves to others. So join us again to help us bring to light the exceptional stories of persons, businesses, and organizations having a positive impact within our community. And thank you for joining us at 5 Star Pittsburgh.